What if I told you that Tabata revealed Astaroth to us in the very first chapter of Clover and no one noticed? Yes, that's right, Astaroth, the supreme devil of time, one of the three rulers of the underworld, who ever since the very first time they were mentioned in the story, fans have been dying to see in person due to their implied connection to Joyce Nova Chrono. A connection which was confirmed in the first chapter to actually mention Astaroth by name, chapter 331, where it was heavy-handedly pointed out by Damnatio that Joyce is the only human in the history of the Clover Kingdom to ever have time magic, and that there just so happened to be a devil with the exact same power that has gone missing for years. Honestly, when reading the chapter, I didn't like how accusatory Damnatio was being here. Like, dude, how dare you of all people come to the man who gave his life to protect the everyday citizens of the Clover Kingdom and accuse him of working with the devil? And you know who else didn't like his accusations? Lucius, because in the very same chapter we get the shotgun twist that Joyce had actually been the secret Force Zogratis sibling Lucius Zogratis the entire time, and that his contracted devil was Astaroth. So okay, turns out Damnatio was right, fair enough, but I still didn't like his tone. And I guess near to Lucius because the very first thing he did after years of being dormant was knock Damnatio out. Partly to keep his secret hidden for a bit longer, partly to add him to his roster of paladins, and partly because, let's be honest, he kinda deserved it. And this reveal was a move that many, not including myself, believe saved Clover from mediocrity. Personally, I was already enjoying the delicious cake that is the Spade arc, and this revelation was just an extra bit of icing on top of it. But hey, feel how you feel about that arc, I'm not here to change your mind on that. But needless to say, with this reveal, it was all concerned that Julius's extremely overpowered time magic had to be due to a contract between Lucius and Astaroth. And with this conclusion made, we all patiently waited throughout the 3-month hiatus, hoping that in chapter 332, we would get to see our first look at this supreme devil, only to be disappointed at them not making their appearance in that chapter and any other chapter onward in the final saga of the story, including the most recent chapter, chapter 369. But here's the thing, we technically did see Astaroth in chapter 332. It's very much a blink and you'll miss it kind of appearance, but we do see them appear in 6 separate panels in that chapter. And not only that, they have made many more small appearances in person in other chapters since the final saga started. And I'm going to blow your mind with this one. They actually appeared on screen in both the anime and manga prior to chapter 331. We just never knew their real name. Oh, and by the by, I'm kind of just throwing this in here because there's nowhere else to fit it in the script, but technically the first time we find out about Astaroth is in chapter 286, during Nox's flashback ritual with Lucifugus, but at the time they're only referred to as the Supreme Devil of Time. And I believe after that, fans had done some research and narrowed down Astaroth to be the name of the devil shortly after this chapter, due to them being one of the 3 kings of hell in demonology alongside Lucifer and Beelzebub, who we had already been introduced to as the space and gravity devils in the story. I just kind of wanted to throw that in there because it was worth noting that fans kind of figured out prior to the name drop who the Time Devil was. Anyway, like I was saying, we have seen Astaroth multiple times throughout the entirety of Clover. In fact, their first appearance was actually in the very first chapter of the manga. It was very brief and we only saw their silhouette, but Astaroth was right there in our faces. And after that, it admittedly would be a long while before we got our next look at them, appearing for the second time 96 chapters later in chapter 97, but this time we got to see them talk for the first time in the entirety of the series, which was a really cool moment for the story. Then they would go missing once again until coming back briefly in chapter 212, then again in chapter 246 after 34 chapters of being AFK, but then they're back once again only 12 chapters later in 258, and for a couple of panels in 259 and 260. Each of the 7 appearances I mentioned so far have been Astaroth showing up as a silhouette, but the very next time they appeared in the manga would be the first time we got to see what they actually looked like. And I think by now you guys are getting what I'm laying down. In chapter 266, for the very first time, we get to see the true form of the Time Devil Astaroth, now known as the anti-magic devil Lieb. Yes, that's right, I believe that Lieb is really Astaroth. Kinda. It's more accurate to say that I think he was Astaroth and that Lieb is his reincarnation. So let's roll things back so that I can explain to you my logic on this theory. So, going back to prior to the beginning of the story, we know that Lucius had already made his contract with Astaroth when the Dark Triad were still in their teens. We know this because when we look into Xenon's flashback, he looks to be no more than 13 when he's first offered to become a devil host like Lucius due to his high potential. But he wouldn't become one until years later when he seemed to be at least 19. Though, since we don't know exactly how old any of the Dark Triad actually are, this is kind of a guess on his age. And though, weirdly enough, for some reason we do know that Lucius, being the oldest sibling, is currently 44, which means they're all definitely younger than him. But still, we don't know their exact ages. But the important thing is, prior to Asta being born, Lucius and Astaroth already had their contract. Then at some point between them forming their contract and Xenon agreeing to become a devil host, Lucius discovers the stone tablets that inspire his idea to recreate humanity. We don't know exactly what he learned from those tablets, because as of the recording of this video, their details still haven't been revealed to us yet, but I like to believe that he learned how to purify devils from them, because at some point during all of this, after reading them, he purified Astaroth, allowing him to take time magic as his own. And then sometime later, he erased Joyce's memories, gave him control of their body, sent him to live in the Clover Kingdom, where he would integrate into a noble family, join the Magic Knights, and work his way up over a few years to becoming a captain of his own squad. And at some point during all of that, Asta is born. And more importantly, so is Lieb. And Lieb's birth is where things get a little iffy, because technically we don't really know exactly when Lieb was born. We just know that by human years he's estimated to be about the same age as Asta, and that's going off of Lucida guessing how old he was when she found him, which was based solely on his appearance. I mean, to be fair, at the time he did appear to be only about 5 years old, so it's easy to understand her logic, and he's since aged up to appear to be in his late teens. So we can assume that until told otherwise by Tabata, that his age is most likely accurate. But even if his age is accurate, we still don't know exactly how Lieb was born. Hell, we don't even know his real name. Because remember, Lieb was a name given to him by Lucida, which, by the way, Lieb means love in German. Kinda thought I'd just throw it in there, it's a cute little choice made by his mom for him. But the fact is that despite them being a major factor in the story for well over 150 chapters, we know surprisingly little about devils. I mean, we know about their hierarchy and ranking system in the underworld, how there's low, mid, high, and supreme devils, and their limitations in the human world, how they can't use their full power unless they gain access to a grimoire and a physical body. But we don't know how new devils are born. We know from Lieb that they apparently go from being little baby devils to full grown ones, but how do we get the babies? And this is where my thought process for this theory comes in. You see, I think instead of us getting new devils from a mommy and daddy devil getting together and doing the deed, I think devils are reborn whenever one of them dies, which would explain Lieb's whole situation as a newborn in the underworld, because we know based on Lieb's appearance that he was clearly born to be a high-rank devil, because high rank and above devils have a human-like appearance, which Lieb obviously has, while mid and below take on a much more monstrous form. But unlike other high rank and up devils, he doesn't have magic, which is why he was abused by the other devils in the underworld, and he was born in the lower tier. So basically what I'm saying is that it goes like this. Lucius forms a contract with Astaroth, then he finds the stone tablets. He purifies Astaroth, stealing their magic for himself, then Astaroth is reborn in the underworld without magic. It's a pretty simple theory, but admittedly there are some holes in it. Most notably, the main thesis behind the theory is that devils are reborn when killed, which we have yet to see proof of in the story. Though in some religions it is believed that evil souls cast into the abyss are reborn as demons, and since Tabata have relied heavily on demonology for the story, it's not too much of a stretch to believe that the souls of a devil when killed will reform in the underworld as a new devil. But again, nothing I can point to from the story itself confirms this. Though, if it is true, that means we could have a baby Lucifero, Beelzebub, Zagred, and a whole bunch of other high and supreme rank devils being born right now in the underworld, each with no magic. So they'll get to experience exactly what Lieb's early life was like, which, at the very least, Lucifero definitely deserves. Anyway, that is my theory on Lieb being Astaroth's reincarnation. Now, if I'm being completely honest, this idea spawned off the theory that both Lieb and Asta were Astaroth split into two souls. Personally, I never agreed with that theory, just because I never really liked the idea of Asta being part devil in any way, but I did like the idea of Lieb unknowingly being one of the Supreme Devils. It just fits so well with his character and overall story. But please, let me know your thoughts on the theory down below, and any theories you guys have on who Astaroth could be, and if there's any connection between him, Asta, and Lieb.